Welcome back. In this video, we will continue on the standard pedagogy rules. We saw, content-based adaptation, filtering above, but we want to classify all the PED rules, rule-based and cluster-based. Let's talk about rule-based system for now. All the rule-based adaptation systems, if you classify everything into, what are the types of feedback is possible, we can come with the 5 types maximum. There are more types possible, but we can think of very general 5 types. One is you provide adaptation based on the content. The other one is adaptation based on the performance in the questions. Then adaptation can be in the form of navigation. Adaptation based on their level of knowledge, skill or mastery. Or adaptation based on the interaction behavior or the other behavior, facial expressions also possible. So these are the 5 possible types of adaptation possible according to our knowledge and literature, but there are many more possible, but we are thinking these 5 are very key important. Adapting content. If a student is struggling to answer correctly, if a student is struggling to not able to understand the knowledge, we could change the content saying that I need a prior knowledge content, or I would need a content, a remedial content. I need a content which is different type of multimedia. If it is PDF, I give a video based content. So the content is adapted, the type of content is adapted based on the student's knowledge. If a student is struggling, instead of changing anything, we are changing the content. That's a one level of adaptation. Okay, and here the topic has to be arranged sequentially, and the topic order, the sequentially in the sense it's not a linear sequence, it can be the tree structure. The knowledge graph has to be well made so that you could be able to adapt the content, and for each type of content, this multimedia content should be available. So this is the adaptive content, which means based on the student's cognition, that is a performance, we are trying to adapt the content instead of anything. So one type of adaptation. Let's talk about assessment based adaptation. When the student is struggling to answer the question, we want to adapt the questions, the next set of questions, the next set of difficulty level or topic can be adapted. Within the question in micro level, you should provide a hints. The hints can be adapted. Don't give all the hints first. Hints, the first hint you give, a student needs more help, give a second level of hint. The hint can be adapted. The feedback given to the students also adapted. Based on the option they select in the MCQ, the feedback can be different. If there are MCQ have 4 different questions, based on the option they select, the feedback can be different. Or sometimes you could give partial answer to motivate the learner to, hey, these are the answers, could you start trying, something like that. So the feedback can be different levels, that is also adaptation. The other adaptation within the content, instead of asking them to go to the remedial content, go to the content again, we can give remedial content. Here, instead of giving them to repeat all the content, a small lesson from the thing based on the performance, that content is also added. So it's kind of content adaptation within the Q&A space, assessment space. So if you are adapting the learning content based on the student's knowledge, it's called the content adaptation. If you are adapting the assessment space based on the student's performance, we can consider it as assessment adaptation. Or there's other type of adaptation is possible, let's get based on navigation and pacing rules. For example, if a learner is in the solve queue topic 1, move to topic 2, move to topic 3. It's a linear path. We are saying the student has to do this, do this, do this. This is a very fixed path. You finish the level 1, go to level 2, go to level 3, level 4, that's it. There is other way is possible, a gating approach, which is that if topic 1 is greater than 50, go here. Okay, this is greater than 50. This is topic 1, performance. If it is less than 50, go this path. You are trying to gate them, like change the path based on the performance or something. So this is a different type of scaffolding is possible. The other one is loop. If topic 1 failed, loop again, go to previous topic, repeat the same topic. These all are possible. So different types of adaptation within the navigation is possible. And the learner path is very important structure here. For example, if there are multiple topics, I'm talking about macro level adaptation. A learner might be going to this path, or some learner going to the other path. Learner path is different. They could choose the topic based on adaptation logic. There's other level of topic within the which topic some student would answer all the assessments. Suppose there are questions 1, 2, 3 till say 10. Some student, if it is right, you put the half mark. If it is wrong, you put the equal something like. Some student would be doing it kite all the questions. Some student would be some student might be solving it. They would not go to the same level. They might drop it. Some student might have a different, their own, based on their learning path also can be different for each learner. Some student will solve all the problems quickly, then they will complete the subject. Some student will have to struggle, remedial content, repeat the same question again multiple times. The learning path might be different. Some student will complete the topics quickly, so macro level learning path different. Some student have a learning path T1 to T2, coming back, maybe they go back again, second loop or third loop. All these things are possible. So learning path is very important, but how do you design the learning path is adaptive pedagogy logic. It can be linear path, it can be gating path, it can be loop path, it can be within the question, it can be above the topic. So navigation pacing rules also can help you in the pedagogical, designing the pedagogical rules. The other level of pedagogy is based on the students' cognition. We saw the model tracing, the Bayesian knowledge tracing. Based on the master skill on the particular topics, you could do the misconceptions. Buggy rules are the very famous one based on the active theory. So that is, we have seen it many times. That is the one. Or we could be scaffolding in the hints. For example, this all based on the cognitive theory, where initially you provide a lot of hints for the novice learners. When they become mastery, the hints can be removed. It's called hint fading. We could slowly remove the hints, so the student can able to solve the problem without much hints. Or we could do space repetition based on the cognitive theory, that if students is done some set of problems, give the same set of problems after some time, so that they were able to remember the concepts and recollect it and apply again. So the space repetition is also kind of applied based on the cognitive theories. So the pedagogy logic can be also based on cognitive theory. The last one we classify as the pedagogical module based on behavior and engagement. The behavior, we have seen click stream data, where the time spent, the response time, the frequency of help seeking. Based on the behavioral engagements we can do. We can have a gamification elements to promote their engagement, the rewards, reward points. You have all the gamifying elements in the system which can gamify learning, where you could provide reward points, task bar, we could provide the levels, we could provide something else, leaderboard. All those gamifications can be added. Or we could see a student is gaming from the behavior. For example, if you provide a hints, a student will be simply clicking the hints, answering, move on. If the student is trying to want to solve it, instead the student is simply selecting set of options without reading questions, without even focusing on the task, simply selecting hints, third option, go on. If you have bottom up hints kind of structure, then if you have loop structure where you have to move out of loop, the student simply try to game the system to complete the task instead of learning. If that can be detected from the log data, we can intervene it. Okay. So behavioral and engagement based pedagogical logic also possible. That we saw for 5 things. Okay. We saw the content based adaptation, where you are adapting the content based on students' performance. We are adapting within the assessment space where remedial feedback, immediate feedback, partial feedback, or we are adapting based on the navigation learning paths, or we are adapting based on students' cognitive theory like the learning mastery, or we could adapt based on their behavioral engagement. So adaptation in the PED module is based on these 5 broad categories. Again, what kind of adaptation you would do here, it can be rule based or clustering based. That's the idea. Hope this is clear. In this video, we talked about the 5 broad type of adaptations possible, and that's how we could apply adaptation in the PED module. So now we just saw 5 different type of adaptation. The good suggestion is combine all of them. It's not that I would use only assessment based adaptation. I will do the content based or behavior based. My suggestion is combine everything. But can you list down what type of adaptation or what kind of is pedagogy effective? And you say that for this type of content, I need definitely the content adaptation. For this kind of topic, I definitely must require, behavioral engagement based adaptation. So what are those? Can you think of it and list it down? I hope you thought about this. In general, if anything, if you're teaching a lot of content and it involves a lot of image simulation something, go for the multimodal content. That's what we do. Or in general, our suggestion is that use the behavioral approaches. Always collect the log data. Don't simply adapt based on the questions responses. Adapt the hints questions, adapt the remedial content, collect the behavioral data, also understand the cognition. Are they learning or not? It's behavioral engagement, cognition, and assessment based adaptation is recommended. Thank you.